Welcome to Din's Talk, the space where soul wisdom meets bold action. I'm Mia Dins, your host, here to ignite your fire, help you claim your power, and guide you to take unstoppable steps towards your dream. Every episode is designed to awaken your purpose, fuel your passion, and spark transformation in your life. It's time to step into your truth and never stop. Let's dive in. Hello guys, welcome back to another episode on Din's Talk. I'm so excited today to be joined by Delia. We actually met just recently online. We connected through an online community, which was super powerful. And it's one of those connections where you just hit it off. And I thought she is doing amazing, incredible things out there. And so I thought I'm going to invite her in here and we have a beautiful conversation. She is actually the founder and creator behind Spiritually Evoke. That's how you can find her online. And also it's unspoken astrology. It's a big part of what she does. She has different, many hats, like even stand-up comedian, her own clothing line, had a very unique upbringing and her own unique story. We will go more into that. And she's an absolute wonder of so many things. That's how I would describe her. And we have already, worked a little bit together. And she will also do a personal, session, kind of giving us a peek look with my chart and how she works. And we also have something to share that already did change something within me. So it's going to be really powerful. And everything else, what she does, the method she uses, she will tell you guys herself. So welcome, beautiful. Thank you for making this time and so happy you're here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for feeling called to invite me into this space.
You're very welcome. I love
Talk about a manifestation that happened very quickly. I was like, I want to be on a podcast. And then here comes Mia. She's like, I would like to complete that manifestation for you. I'd like to be on that other end.
This is how it works. And we were also in a very elevated, expansive energy in that moment because we were just coming out of this challenge with Regan here, which was amazing because, once you're in a collective energy field where everyone is, in it and it's amplified, things just happen faster. I don't know, you probably experience the same, but within that challenge and before and after, a lot of things were just sped up. That's how it felt, which was super powerful. But who is Delia? Where did your story start? And then, of course, you do a lot of things. I only touched on a few things, but I know you are such a magic box. There's so much to it. I thought when we were first talking, I was thinking, how did you have so much time to do all these things? You're just one of those many gens, like those people who can do a lot of things, but you're not a many gen in human design. It's just how I always see it. You're just someone who can do a lot of things. You're able to do that. Yeah.
Well, I have lots of fives in my numerology chart, and fives connect to the five senses. And it connects with speed. It's Mercury. Mercury goes around, it's the fastest planet around the sun. So I can get things done quickly. And I am able to tap into things that involve the five senses, which is fun. But it's also, and I'm also a Libra. So I'm like, oh yeah, this and this and this. And oh yeah, let's do all the things. And a Sagittarius rising. Whoa. Okay. This is my Sag coming out. It's like, okay, now we're going to go in this direction. Let's talk here. Before I do that, let's check the brakes. So the method through manifestation that was kind of birthed through me, and it took time to find the name for it. It definitely was one of those things where I changed my Instagram bio like 500 times. I was like, is this what it's called? Is this what it's called? Is this what it's called? And then it just like one day, and I don't even know, I might have been in one in Regan's containers when this happened because I've been in a few before, the Say It Louder one. And then it was just like, okay, I was really thinking about emotions and I was really thinking about thoughts and how we are trained in certain ways to think this emotion is bad, this emotion is good. Don't feel this way if you want to manifest, only feel this way. Don't have these thoughts, that makes you a bad person. Only have these thoughts, these make you a good person. And I started to kind of just unravel. And I realized that I was being so obedient to how I was trained and how I was trained to be with myself, that I was manifesting through my obedient behavior. Like I was obedient to self-abandonment. I was obedient to not feeling worthy. And that showed up everywhere. And it just kept getting worse. Like the feeling kept getting worse. It was kind of the same scenario, really toxic work environments where I was devalued, where I was, I was like, the more I give, the more they'll see my value. No, it was like the more I gave, the more they took advantage of me. And then when they were like, okay, we're done with you, we're going to throw you out, the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. And I lived in a big city. I lived in San Diego for a very long time. It's where I went to college. And COVID hit, and I was like, okay, I'm going to move to Sandpoint, Idaho. My mom lived here. It was like, it's in the woods. I do not want to be in a city right now. Like helicopters flying over my house, telling me not to leave my house. Like I was like, this ain't gonna fly. So I came to Idaho. The town I live in is extremely small compared to San Diego. And it's a very unique place energetically. The natives who lived here had very specific regions of energy where they never went into the valley because they called it the Valley of the Sick. So they always traveled along the mountains. And the way the natives worked with the land and how it worked with them energetically was very much so in terms of like shadows. It's like you can really feel, and I bet you could feel it here too. Like if you came here, I want to be like, what do you feel right now? Because I guarantee you'd be like, holy shit. Like you come here, and if you don't deal with your shadows, they're going to deal with you. And that's literally what started happening. Like it was kind of there in San Diego, but there was so much noise in the city and so much going on. Like it was so much easier to distract myself. But here it was like, hi there, guess what? You can't run away because everyone you meet is going to amplify your shadow. So this led to me tapping into my instincts. And this is where instinct-led manifestation came in. And this is where I realized you don't manifest your desires, you manifest what you repeatedly obey. And we're repeatedly obeying subconscious beliefs. These are not conscious things that happen in our mind, which is what makes it so difficult. Which is why working with a mentor like yourself is so freaking powerful, because they can see what you cannot see, like what I did with you. Like, you're so smart, but yet you were like, there's something there that I can't free, and you're banging your head against the wall. Like, what is it? And sometimes it's just like the simplest thing. It's just like, and you're like, oh yeah. You're like, oh my God, that's what my body was saying. Because your instincts, your body always knows. But we're told how to interpret signals. We're told how to interpret our emotions, not just through other people, but also through the relationship with ourselves. And I'll give you an example. So I do not believe that Stephen King was having positive thoughts when he wrote the book It. I don't think he was sitting around sunshine and rainbowing it up. I think I don't think that's what he was doing. I think he was tapping into something extraordinary, but would it be described as dark if other people were in his head? Yeah, I'm sure other people would be like, well, I mean, they can't even read that book. But Stephen King channeled those thoughts into something amazing, something creative, into this, I'm going to use the word beautiful story. Other people might agree. I feel like it's not a beautiful story, but in a way it is, because spoiler alert, by the way, if anyone has not read that book or seen the movie, it's about to get kind of spoiled for you. But in that book, the creature feeds off of fear. That's what makes it stronger. It wants to scare you. That's what it eats. It's like, no. And reading that book and watching that movie, I was like, whoa, what am I feeding? Because generally we're obedient to fear, obligation, or guilt or shame. Like those are generally the three things that we use on ourselves to manipulate ourselves. And then we start manifesting these things and we're like, well, what is that? And then we manifest other things like that we desire very easily. And we're like, how do we do that? But why can't I manifest the big thing? Where's the big thing? So it's almost like becoming disobedient, breaking free of your conditioning. And this all started because my soul was like, ooh, let's be born into a cult. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? Yes. So I was raised in a cult. So for some reason, I always feel like I have to say not a good one, even though I've never heard of a good cult before. Maybe there is one. And yeah, it kind of birthed my fascination with human behavior, because I remember as a child being like, what is happening? Like, these people are miserable. These people are scared. These people are also in this weird delusional space of worshiping this person whilst doing horrible things to each other. And it was so weird as an empath and like someone with psychic senses who was around these people who were acting like, oh, like, oh, you just want a cute little girl. And you could feel the things they wanted to do. And it was not safe. It was like, this is a very unsafe environment. And my instincts were like, run, hide, tell your dad, who, by the way, I couldn't tell because he's a full-blown narcissist. So I literally had to ignore my instincts. I was like, I can't run away. I'm a child. What do you want me to do? Like, all I knew was, how can I survive this? And the way I survived was shutting down my instincts and really leaning into what other people wanted me to be. I became my dad's therapist at a very young age. There's a word for it that I'm going to have to look it up really quick.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
No worries. Look it up.
And it's so funny that I came across it literally today, right before this. Okay. So the phrase is, just found out what this was today, covert incest. Have you heard this before?
No.
So it's where a child is exposed to sexual talk, sexual experiences, not to themselves, but other people doing it in front of them at too young of an age. And that was my dad. Like, from a very young age, he was talking to me about sex. He was talking to me about cheating on my mother. He was talking about, what do you want to do to other women? And being in a cult where incest and rape were happening, being in situations where that was going on in front of me as well. So, and you get in that state of like fawning. Like, that's what happened. Like, it was like, I guess part of me was like, okay, we're going to freeze and we're going to fawn. And this is going to be life now. And also, it was really important to me to anticipate my dad's emotional needs. So if I didn't know how he felt, if I didn't know what he needed, it was very unsafe. So that became this thing where I had constant social anxiety because I constantly was reading people. I was constantly like, are you going to hurt me? Are you going to hurt me? Are you going to hurt me? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Like, I was very quiet as a child. People started labeling me as shy. I am not a shy person.
No, you're definitely not.
I was terrified. I was terrified of people. And I didn't know that. I didn't realize that even after I left the cult, my obedience and my conditioning came with me. They're like, okay, this has helped you survive. This is who you are. You were taking these practices with you. And it was so weird because consciously I was like, I am not going to ever get under a spiritual teacher who's culty or who manipulates or who does these things. And which is funny because I did. But what birthed from that was me being obsessed with human behavior. So at a very young age, I was like learning about people. I was like, why do people do this? Why do people feel this way? Why do people say this? Why do people lie about what they're feeling when they're actually feeling this way? And I realized also that this learning was also from a place to keep my conditioning in place. It was not to free me, which is what I thought I was doing consciously, but subconsciously it was like, how can we use all of these psychiatric practices to bury your emotions, to bury your feelings, to stay obedient? All I wanted to do was not feel. Data was my favorite character from Star Trek because he had no emotions. And I was like, oh my God, what would life be like if I didn't have to feel? I was like, oh my God. I was like, I would be free. That would be no one would bother me ever again. I'd feel safe all the time. Like, sign me up. And this wasn't just with psychiatric scientific practices. This turned into also spiritual practices. All my spiritual practices that I learned were also put in place to hold on to this conditioning and hold on to this obedience. So when I realized, like, I struggled with depression, I've struggled with suicide, and I couldn't understand what was going on because I was like, I'm feeling my emotions. I'm doing shadow work. Like, I'm doing breath work. I'm doing mindset work, psychology, blah, 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 blah. And then it was suddenly this insight came in that was like, you are trying to silence your body. You are not listening. You're not listening to your instincts. You're not listening to what your emotions are telling you. You're lecturing yourself on what thoughts you're supposed to have. You're lecturing yourself on your emotions. And I was one of those people that was like, walk around a high vibe. That's all you got to do. High vibe. La, 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 la. And I was like, do I want to feel good? Of course I want to feel good. But I don't need to shame myself when I'm not quote unquote in high vibe. And that's what was happening. And that's how I was taking teachings from the manifestation world, was from this very controlled, very how can I use this to beat myself with, basically, instead of how can I use this to free myself. So this is all starting to crumble. And I started listening to my body and I started listening to my instincts. And let me tell you, the things that it told me were not what my brain were saying that it was, which there's definitely times in this work where I'm frustrated because I'm like, okay, you're not that. What do you mean you're not that? Like, come on, tell me what you tell me. Literally the masculine way of tell me what you are. Like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, this feeling is like burning inside of me. Like, what are you trying to tell me? And sometimes it's not even words. Sometimes it's more shapes and textures and things like that. But once I started actually listening and holding myself differently and really shifting those beliefs of this doesn't mean no emotion is good or bad, first off. It's your relationship with them. No thoughts are good or bad. It's your relationship with them. And also, I don't think Jeffrey Epstein was walking around in high vibe when he came into all of his money and power.
Yeah.
So there was something else going on there, right? So like there's this unspoken conversation that's happening around manifestation that for some reason isn't happening in the bigger fields. And I'm not sure why. But this is where all of this work started to become uncovered because I was like, this isn't working for me. This isn't working for me. I know what's meant for me. I can feel it. I can feel it trying to get to me. So what am I doing? And that was also when it came into like learning how to receive, learning how to work with the feminine and not just this very masculine way of do. Because you cannot solve feminine energetics from a masculine place. It's like trying to use a hammer, the front side of a hammer to pull out a nail. Like you can't do it.
Yeah, the manifestation, and I love, like, you can get that yourself. I love what you said, and just to pause you here for just a second. I know you keep going with this. Sorry, but I know that a lot of listeners that they will, you guys who's listening, like you will. I'm sure you will relate to that. I can totally relate to that, to the story, especially the part when you said like you were doing all these things and trying different things, in the manifestation world, and trying different tools and ways, and it wouldn't just, but there was something wanting to come through from within you, right? To guide you, to be like, hey, this works for me, not this, not trying to fit in, something that needs to come, like actually break out of you. And I felt the same for years. And like with literally anything I tried to do, especially when it came to the business side, having business coaches, or do it that way, or breaking patterns and cycles with myself, with the scarcity, with the money, and honestly, doing everything. But at the same time, there was always something telling me after, maybe a week or something, no, that's not right. It doesn't feel right. But I was like overriding it, right? Because I got conditioned, overriding it, be like, come on, Mia, someone did it that way. It must work for you. You gotta go. You need to finish it. Because if you do not finish it, you will never find out. Why would you finish a meal when the first bite already tastes yuck? Who does that? It's the same thing, but I was doing it. So I can totally relate to that. And that's just showing, that's why I'm just butched in a little bit, because so people can, I feel like that, because this how deep the conditioning goes and how strong it is, because we are literally computers with the softwares, or like conditioned from very early age, plus past lives and everything, and that takes a bit of time. We need to really unlearn and reprogram the whole thing here. Doesn't happen overnight, because they are, as you know, and I'm not a computer geek, but what they are doing, right? The decoding and coding, there's so much going on. So powerful. Thank you for sharing this. I feel like a lot of people will be able to resonate with that. And so you're not alone. Like, people are not alone out there. And just to understand and to be like, yeah, that, like, allow that to come through. And that is the hardest part to do, because the conditioning. So thank you for sharing this. And you can, of course, keep going with your beautiful story.
Yeah, I love the analogy of the meal, and that's where a lot of our conditioning starts too, right? Because parents say, they're starving kids in another place. Like, you don't finish your meal. Like, what are you doing? Or, with the scarcity, like, I really want that toy. I'm not going to buy you that toy. Why? Because do you want food or do you want that toy? Depending on what kind of parent you had, it could have, or it could, like, no, we can't afford that. And that creates whatever narrative it does in your head, that creates a feeling in your body, an emotional reaction. That's like you said, the computer. And then we can get into the space of feeling like we have to manage ourselves instead of actually listening. So in a way, in a sense, we're trying to manage our manifestations. So like, I always need to feel this way. And if I don't always feel this way, then I'm not going to get the thing. And now I'm mad at myself because I haven't gotten the thing yet, but I can't be angry at myself, because if I'm angry, then I'm not going to get the thing. You're saying that I'm not grateful that I have the thing.
It's true. Were you in my head at the time?
It's true. That's what we do, right? Like really, we're actually trying to manifest our way into manifestation. Like really mindset is like, but it's funny once you can step outside of it and see it from a bird's eye view. And once you become the observer, when you're in it, it's not funny because you're like thinking what is wrong. You're trying everything, right? You're like, what the fuck is going on?
It's very frustrating. Yeah.
It's the most frustrating thing I feel.
Especially when you see people online like manifest anything you want in 30 seconds. And you're like,
it's like, shut up, you know, it's cruel. Like, no, it's very triggering. It is triggering to see those people there because
you get mad because you're triggered. You're like, I shouldn't be triggered. I should be happy for that person. Why am I triggered right now? I'm a bad person because I just got triggered by someone.
Yeah. So,
and then the guys, cycle continues.
Yes,
it's
you
like
can
the laundry cycle. You keep hitting rinse when you actually need to pull it out. It's been rinsed enough.
Yeah, I love the analogy of that.
And it's so interesting too, because when I first started this work, the first client I ever had, the first session I ever did with her, we were in a coaching container together, like learning different hypnotic techniques and NLP and stuff like that. And it was a practice session that I was doing with her. And after that, she was stuck at 10K months. And after I did that practice session with her, she sent me a message, Delia, I just had a $20,000 day. I want to hire you as my coach. And I was like, what now? Like, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. But the thing is, there was something so powerful in that because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have programming around it. I was just like, let's see what happens. And as I'm working with her, realizing that I was connecting her to her instincts, realizing that we were working through these layers, how she was punishing herself for certain things. Like she just started skyrocketing. Suddenly she had a 7-figure business. And then all of these stories started showing up in me. Like I was like, what am I? Someone who, that saying, those who can't do, teach. Because I was like, I'm not a 7-figure business owner. Am I one of those people that can teach this, but can't actually do it? And then it was also, how can I claim that I help someone reach 7 figures when I haven't reached 7 figures? And all of this stuff started coming up. And then that's when the obedience kicked in and was like, don't feel this. What are you doing? You can't let people know how you feel. Are you insane? You can't even let yourself know how you feel. That's not safe. The identity of us is we keep a lid on it, shut your mouth, you be the good girl that you know you are, and just learn some more stuff. Just go learn. You like learning. See how much more you can pile on top of this mountain to try to squish it down. And that's when the income for me started to shift. So I was making pretty good money right off the bat when I first stepped into coaching, which was also something my system, my container was not really ready to hold. So I was like, what am I supposed to do with a $15,000? And the obedience came in and was like, you need this. You need to work with this person, which wasn't the right thing for me to do. You need to invest in this. You need to do this. Da, 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 da. And it all didn't work because it was all supporting my conditioning. The beliefs that I held about myself subconsciously, not being worthy, not knowing enough was also one of them. Not being able to be wrong was a big one too, because I was so programmed to need to anticipate people's needs up front. And there's just no way you can always do that. And sometimes you don't want to do that, especially when you're trying to get to someone's subconscious. You want them to say no to certain things. You want them to be truthful. And sometimes to drop the mask that you're talking to, because we all wear one. So to get underneath that, you got to get in the nitty gritty. You got to get uncomfortable. And this programming was like, you can't make other people uncomfortable. Oh my God, if they say no, if you're like, well, what about this? And they say no, that's bad. It was like this very weird concept of people pleasing. And things became very difficult because of that. Things became very frustrating because of that. But in a way, silver lining, it gave birth to this beautiful thing. It gave birth to this beautiful way of me being with my body. It gave birth to wow, now I know how I was working with this person and other people that I've worked with. Because before I couldn't put language to it. You're like, what? I can tell you all the tools that I used, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And I tried to put so many different labels on it, as I said, over the years. But none of them felt right. But I still had this belief of force your way through it, force your way through it. This has to work. If you work hard enough, it will work. And I was like, my conditioning was like, no, that's not, no. Because you didn't come to this earth to have things work this way for you. Sorry there, sweetie. And that's when I really dove into numerology. And that's when I really dove into astrology, because I wanted to understand myself. I was like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? Why am I stuck? What am I missing? And that shed a lot of light on why I picked up certain behaviors, why I picked up certain beliefs. And it definitely helped me feel more empowered. And it definitely allowed me to stop managing my emotions and start seeing the yin and the yang side to them and how to work with that yin yang energy. I don't like saying negative and positive. That doesn't work for me anymore. Because when I talk about my emotions that way or my thoughts that way, it suddenly turns into, well, I need to manage these. And then it comes into the manipulation. So where do I feel obligated? Where do I feel shame? And where do I feel fear? And how are those being the drivers of this obedience? Looking into my father's numerology was actually very healing, because I saw in his chart how crazy narcissistic he is. Because there were parts of me that were still blaming myself for what he did to me. It was like, is this your fault? Because, narcissists never, ever take responsibility for anything. So growing up, that was embedded in me. It was like, I don't know how to take responsibility almost for myself, or for like if I do something wrong, because I never saw my father have like any sort of emotional reaction. My dad was like even keeled to like a T. Charming as all hell. Anyone ever met my dad, they'd be like, oh my God, he's amazing. I was like, yeah, I know. I worshiped him for a very long time. But looking at his chart, I was like, damn. I'm not saying that everyone who has those particular numbers in their chart is necessarily going to be a narcissist or psychopath. But in this case, very true. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. I was like, I think like it's come out now.
It's very powerful. And I love that you have this whole storyline. So we understand your story and how it all shaped up. And it's beautiful because you can see like your line through life. And now why astrology and numerology? Because it's very, there are many tools out there that you could have chosen, could have found you, or obviously, how did that happen? Because usually there's like a moment that happens or whatever. How did that come about for you? How did it guide you there?
Numerology was very, if you want to play the game of we believe in fate right now, not free will, even though I did have the choice to engage with it or not. But I was literally thinking about numerology. And for some reason, I never heard of this school. I'd never been to it, but somehow I got an email from this numerology school. It was like, hey, we're a numerology school. Would you like to check out our software and like what we do and what we teach? And I was like, this is random, but cool. Yeah, sure. So suddenly I like looked them up and I was like, it's Chaldean numerology, so it's different than Pythagoreanism. But I was like, I was like, whoa, this is satisfying. All my planets in my 9th house right now. I was like, nom, nom, nom. So that's where like numerology came in. And then astrology, I'd always been interested in astrology since I was a kid. I'd had readings done over the years, but I never got like deep into it until I started studying numerology, because it's the sister science to astrology. So they're like married to each other. So it kind of just came with the territory. And it was something that just strengthened my knowing. And it made it very interesting to also look at people's numerology charts and because all the planets have numbers. So Jupiter rules your chart. So if we looked at your numerology chart with your name and your birth date, it'd be interesting to see where else Jupiter's energy was showing up. If it was really heavy in your personality, if it was really heavy in your heart's desires, if it was really heavy in what they call your brand number, what things people feel when they first meet you, or how your friends feel about you. So that was very fascinating to me. And even looking at the astrology chart and being like, okay, like the first house, the number 1 is connected to the sun, which is also identity, which is also the ego. And you have 2, which is associated with the moon, the reflection, the subconscious. And like going through, looking around the wheel of the astrology and kind of connecting it that way. It seemed like, 8 represents Saturn, the Saturn. Saturn really likes tradition. Saturn really likes control. Saturn really likes stability. What planets are in there? If Uranus is in there, you might be having some conflict of interests of, I want to destroy and rebuild and do all the things, and Saturn being like, what now? No. Mm-mm. We do it this way because this is the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
So it was very enlightening and feeling like I understood events, feelings, and thoughts in a whole new way. And it changed the relationship to myself. Suddenly, I wasn't once again trying to manage myself or hold in my obedience. It was like, oh, I understand where that's coming from. I know it's not evil. I know it's not bad. I was just here because I want to talk. Is it just yapping away? Like, what's going on? Or is it just like, not now, not in the mood?
Yeah, no, not during the moon. Absolutely no go.
Yeah.
And I love that. And also what you just said before with like how, because I can totally relate. And I saw a lot for myself when you were mentioning about like always reading people's emotions already before you even, enter the room, before you even meet them. And I did that also subconsciously all the time and still have this tendency to do that. It's about to feel safe because I know when I know about their emotions, when I know about their states, I feel safe because then I can regulate or I know already what to do, right? Very interesting, but very, very exhausting and not helpful at all. And you know what's also really funny? That of course that's where we have our ability being a psychic mediumship and these things, where it's just enhanced. That's from an early young age. So our muscle is already much stronger. Everybody can be a channel. Everybody has the ability to tap in. And I think this is how I always explain it because some people ask me, so Mia, why do you think some people, have it early or not? Because we need some sort of leaders and then we lead and then other people, we can teach them and then they can grow and, create their own niches and lead but I don't know the soul sign up for it, whatever. But I was wanting to go to this, like, of course I had my childhood, my own upbringing, which led me to this point that I had to be so tuned in, but I learned to also not be tuned in, if that makes sense, because people always like, my friends say, oh, she already knows. She was already tipped in. I said, no, I don't. I'm actually here to be human. I want to experience right up front right now and want to be able to see my own ego in a situation where you just like show up in your being and I just have to respond in that way and not knowing before. And I really actually started to do that massively over the last couple of years to really step away from that because there was a time when I wasn't really sure if people call me because they wanted to call me or they wanted to have a channel message. Can you relate to that? I was really, at some point, and that was a point, I guess, where I also subconsciously disregarded that gift a lot. And I actually didn't want to do readings because I was like, it was a bit like all muffled up, like, because I wasn't really sure, is it me? Do they just want to have my gift now? What? And I got really confused for a little while.
You're Gemini descendant, right?
Yeah, my moon is in Gemini. Yeah.
Your moon and your descendants in Gemini.
Yeah.
So Gemini descendants can attract people who only want you for your gifts and your information. Not saying that they were doing that consciously, but I have had this same experience that you have experienced. I still have this experience of people, and especially like your Libra, your South node's in Libra, yes. So then there's this South node that's like, well, I want to please people. I want to like help them. I can see things from every angle. And there's that instinct in you that's like, this motherfucker's using me. But wait, am I bad for thinking? Wait, are they? Wait. When we create this huge story around what our instincts say, when it can literally just be this person's, whether they know it or they not. But you know what? I get to set a boundary, a loving boundary. Be like, because they probably don't know that they're doing it. Maybe they do, but there's ways to find that out if you want in a non-direct way.
Boundaries that will reveal it already. To be honest, It's a big thing that will reveal a lot,
especially when you're psychically sensitive and you are brilliant as you are and help people the way that you do. Of course, people are sometimes like, wait, has she ever just called me to ask like how I'm doing? Has she ever just called me to like shoot the shit? Like, yo, I watched a funny movie last night. Thought of you. We're like, oh my God, this person hurt me and I want to know why. You're like, Jesus, I'm just eating my ice cream right now, like trying to watch my show. Call me back, but I'm going to charge you. It's $500.
This is, why you point this out, because this is a really hard boundary for me as well and limit there. Like I always give a lot of free advice, free coaching, but subconsciously because I'm naturally doing that, and I'm sure you can relate to that. And and then actually saying, hey guys, to this person, actually, if you want, just book a session with me. And I think that's still a very big learning for me because I'm so, firstly, the people pleasing pattern still, overgiving, blah, blah, all this is still shedding by layers. That one. And then the self-worth thing, and then not knowing, because I've done it for so long and it's so natural to me that I don't value it. It's actually my craft. It's my gift. It's basically like a dentist who gives you like a full-on scan right now. That would be free, basically. And
so your obedient behavior is to please people.
Yeah.
So you're manifesting people who what?
Try to take.
Expect you to please them.
Yeah.
Subconsciously or unconsciously, but that's the energy you're so powerful. That's the energy you're pulling out of them. Like, I want you to understand that this is a very powerful thing that you do, and not something that you need to try to change. It's just something that you need to change your relationship with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
If it doesn't, feel free to ask a question.
Yeah. No, like I know we already started to dive a little bit into it, into my chart, and a little bit of things that you can share so people can actually experience life, because my audience knows me. So we can share life a little bit of things, and that can be practical for them too, to actually understand how that all works. I love what you said. I love that. It's not about changing the power, the gift that I have, as in like bringing that out in people, but it's change in relationship with. Can you go more into that? Because I'm sure there are many people who can relate to that.
Yes. So give me a minute to feel in how this wants to come through. So the gift of people pleasing, if you will. You know exactly what people need. You know exactly what people want. Now, that doesn't always serve them. Yes.
Yes.
But this gift you have that we're calling people pleasing is people pleasing because that's how you're using the gift. You're labeling it as such. But if you labeled it differently, what if suddenly you weren't pleasing people in that to abandon yourself? You were pleasing yourself to not abandon people. Because people pleasing in a sense, is also abandoning the person, because you're can be feeding a need that isn't serving either of you. You're not setting boundaries. They're crossing boundaries, whether they know it or not. And it's suddenly it starts to manifest as this, like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to talk to anybody. What am I doing? This gift sucks. Or, okay, so I have this gift and I've been using it in a way because I'm obedient to feeling safe. I'm obedient to this identity that this keeps me safe. Okay. Have a conversation with that identity. Have a conversation with that part. And this isn't about being in denial, because to that part of yourself, it isn't safe. It's not. So if you try to say, what are you talking about? This is safe. That part's going to be like, are you insane? You're not listening to me. That is going to feel abandoned, and then it's just going to get shoved down and repressed. So that's another piece of the puzzle too. And parts work is exceptional for this, is having that conversation with the part that's like, I need to use this gift to do X, Y, and Z. And then once you get underneath that and you can feel it, I forget the name of the author who wrote the book Focusing. It's a great book. It's short. It's like 115 pages, but he coined the term felt sense. And when you get a felt sense from what is actually the emotion that's actually in your body, it leaves. It transmutes, It transcends. It's like, so getting the felt sense from this people-pleasing part of yourself that's using this gift in this way, in a way that doesn't serve you, in a way that really doesn't serve other people. It just kind of has this facade that it does, because it has worked. You're still here on Earth side. You're still alive.
Yeah.
So as far as like, what are you talking about? It doesn't work. Yes, it does. Look at us. We're here. Ta-da. So working with it differently is going to create potentially real discomfort. Like I always tell those people, clarity doesn't always feel good. Clarity can be really painful. Like when I knew I needed to end my relationship, I wasn't like, yeah, clarity, baby. I was like, I have to do this. But this also really sucks because it's going to be painful. And even with finding alignment in your business, being like, I need to start showing up this way. My instincts are telling me I need to talk about what? Okay, how can I negotiate? How can I like kind of do it, but not really do it? And this happens with extremely intelligent people like yourself. You're so good at being so smart at working with the obedience to not, you know what I mean? Like in this very masculine energy, in this very like, in a sense of controlling, but you don't realize that's what you're doing. Because that's not what it really looks like. It you would think it would be working. You're like, why isn't this working? Or even with you moving through all these identities, like death and rebirth. And that because it's in your 8th house, 8 being representing Saturn, it doesn't want to let go of certain traditions that have worked for you in the past that might not be working right for you right now. But it's like, I don't want to let go of this. What are you talking about? This practice worked like 10 minutes ago. And you're telling me it's not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like I had to stop. I mean, I love exercising like you do. I love physical fitness, being strong in my body. But there was a point where I was like, I have to stop exercising the way that I am because I am using it to suppress what I'm feeling. And I didn't realize that I was doing that because I was like, exercising is healthy. This is good. And in some senses, it felt good. But then that feeling came right back again. You know, I'd be running on the treadmill, lifting all the weights, standing at Eye of the Tiger. I don't know why I just did this. Eye of the Tiger in it. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'd be exhausted. My body would be exhausted. I'd be like, that's nice. I'm exhausted. And then the burning sensation, I feel a lot in my chest. Like that's where I hold a lot of stuff. Would come back. And it was like, I'm still here. Why are you trying to get rid of me? You can't get rid of me. Not like this anymore. It's not going to work. That's when I was like, okay, like you and slowing down, right? When you're like, my body really wants me to slow down, it's going to make me slow down. And I was like sick for like 3 weeks where I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. I was like literally in bed. It's like part of me was like, I don't want to freaking do emotional work right now. I just want to watch Netflix. And I was like, no, now is the perfect time to do this. I know you don't want to do this. And then you have to work with the part that doesn't want to do it, right? We got to bring that part forward. And I was like, okay, why don't you want to work on this? Sometimes we try to skip that part and we go right to the one but there's generally one that's like, I don't want to do this.
Powerful. I know you wanted to share something about the numerology and like some things you looked at. I know we can't go into all of it. It's because it's far too vast and it's just more like a peek look, like to see what comes up. But to share with my audience as well, like what happened before. I sent you a voice message 2 days ago or something, right? Or yesterday, I can't remember, where I said like, oh my gosh, I was asking you the question because I looked into, obviously Jupiter just moved into Leo and I have a Leo stellium. For those who don't know, it means like I have my 4 personal planets are all in Leo and Jupiter is also my chart ruler. So it amplifies everything. Although it's a very benefic planet, but it also amplifies everything that needs to be transmuted, let go of, what no longer serves. And that is actually what happened. What happens before the expansion always does, because you cannot create the new and plant something new if you're full of shit. So basically, that was what I was going through. And I'm still, of course, there are still parts because it's not just a overnight thing or 1 week. It's a cycle that started. It's a thing. And of course, if I let go, the earlier and easier I let go, the faster it will move, right? It's more a matter of like how much do I hold on and what needs to come through. Anyways, we never know. So anyway, what happened was my old ways wouldn't work anymore. And I'm not just talking about, the exercise or certain ways but ways of thinking, doing. I had to, sleep longer. Actually, it started already like a couple of months ago where literally my whole routine changed a little bit. I had later evenings, which is very unusual for me because I'm not a night owl. I'm literally an early bird. I like to get up between 5 and 6. More natural for me. Lots of cycle space. It just feels good to me. And then go earlier to bed. But of course, due to the nature of my work as well and different time zones, sometimes it required me to do later things. So long story short, but also no matter when I go to bed, I just needed longer sleep. And it was really uncomfortable for me. And yes, I had the flexibility to do that because I could just put things later in the day if I wanted to, right? So I'm not bound to anybody else. And I didn't have to get up super early. So I was able to just change my day. But there was this rigidity. I was like, no. And also it made me feel safe and what I'm used to, the conditioning. And there was thoughts coming up. I'm lazy now. Oh my gosh, will I always sleep in? And will I lost control, so to speak. I couldn't control that anymore. It was almost like something is changing. And there was this feminine energy wanted to come through, more allowing, receiving, not being so like rigid. And also old stories, like if I get up at 7 or 8, my day is done. I won't get anything done. It's not just stories. It just means you have to adapt, find that your system is changing. I have different needs right now. It doesn't mean I will sleep forever until 8. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's just allowing a season that was I could not allow that. I was really fighting it for so long. And interesting, the more I was fighting it, the more my body would stop me. Resistance would show up. First subtle, and other times really I would break down. I would really big detoxing. People call it sickness, whatever, detoxing, and I just wouldn't be able to do anything in my normal routine then. And especially the last couple of days, because I'm already much more aware. I was allowing more, that my moon was trying to come through, right? My period. And this is a time when I just can't override my body. When I am obedient to my moon, so to speak, to the feminine. And it was powerful because it was a really big breakthrough, because I said, no, why do I even do that? And it's actually really great to have this evidence as well, because every time I allow and receive and I slow down, magical things happen. They just happen, because there's this belief, like you said in this voice message, because Dee was listening to me and she just immediately saw so many deep things. Like, I have, of course, come across this 1,000 times before, but the way she put it, it just landed for me so deeply that I literally was trying to use my masculine to solve feminine, like to just actually push her down, to override her constantly with everything. And it just felt so fucking uncomfortable. My body was already telling me, no, 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 no. And here I am, our bodies are oracle. And it was such a beautiful, I don't know, like closing for me, and really revelation, that I was like, oh my gosh, I did that. And then again, and I told you offline before, that when I had these prolonged bleeding times for up to 2 months at a time, really strong ones as well, would get stronger and stronger. And I was always thinking, my womb space is releasing, and this and that. And it takes a toll. I have physical limits. We all do. And then I realized this morning with your voice message, listening to it, that this was the only way my body was trying to get me into allowing and receiving, but I was still overriding it. I was still pushing through. I was still working out at that time. So like, I soften my workout a little bit. I only do 3 sets instead of
Yeah, I was like, what's a soft workout for you?
I know,
Workout for other people.
That's high level for other people. Yeah. Yeah. Where other people would be like, what the fuck? Yeah. I know.
Like, that workout, your soft workout would kill me, but yeah.
So I was like, yeah. And it really hit me this morning that this was my body trying to tell me, hey, you need to allow. And when we talk about allowing or resting or slowing down, it doesn't mean, like you said, it may be one day watching Netflix, if that's what really keeps you down. But it's not about like you lying like on the couch all day and do that. It's more like to be in this energy of allowing, and to be less rigid. And yeah, for me, it is really like to also, I realized, not just the physical movement, to condense that a little bit, or like have it softer. When I say soft, like really flowy, and literally like my body speak, maybe dancing, maybe just a little bit of mobility, yoga, whatever, and not always like, whoa, fire, which already has become so much better. You should have seen me a couple of years ago. But it's also, for me personally, it was my realization. I give a lot of energy. I'm very amplifying, a lot of like, when people are on the voice message, I'm like all in. I'm like, yeah, and do this and da da da, and that I was always open to give. And for me, it's really, I cannot receive when I'm constantly giving and being open and being really aware of those energy leaks. Like, really, they can be really subtle, not even obvious. Could be your best friend. Oh, I'm used to checking my WhatsApp message every 10 minutes and bouncing back, but it would really disturb my energy as well when I'm doing focused work, and really allowing as well writing. I love writing, going really internal, and have my own little dialogue, a bit of channeling, some nice frequency. Yeah, these kind of things. So it was really powerful when you said that this morning. And I haven't had much time to process yet, because we are on the podcast now, but powerful, really powerful what it means. When this just hits you very differently. It's like when I was doing boxing. Like sometimes, you do the same movement, you try to do something, and you hear it from your coach over and over again every day. And then one day you go just for a different training somewhere, and the coach says the same, but just in a different way. And then it hits you, boom. Oh my fucking gosh, what was I doing? Like, I had these experiences often before. So thank you for that. It was very, very powerful. And yeah, feel free to add anything. And then of course we can go a little bit into I was excited to know your magic and how you work, because I never had your niche and the way you do it. I never had the experience. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have the obedience to the masculine, have the obedience to like this patriarchal way of being. the doing. So thank you for sharing your experience with that and how you've moved through it and been with it and how it's changed for you. And it's a very taught thing. This is what we're taught. Like, I often think, like, how different would I be if I was in school and I was like, I can't think of the answer. And the teacher was like, use the force.
Funny. I love it. Can we have a
And I
school
was
like
like,
that?
how different would I, if it was literally like, instead of being like, well, you gotta do it, I was just like, you use the force, use your intuition, find the answer. Like, because as intuitives and as psychics, like, that's how so often we would receive information. And it would be like, especially like in math, I remember it always being like, show your work. You didn't show the work right. You didn't. And I was like, I mean, part of me gets it, but also like, I watched Good Will Hunting. Like, come on now, show your work. Like, come up with the answer. Well, first, I know I spilt a lot about people pleasing and changing your relationship with that gift. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I think like how you said it was very powerful to actually shift that and to realize how people who people please, I'm not the only person here in the world that we actually abandon ourselves. Yeah, I know. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I see the signs definitely, but they're becoming more and more sneaky now. I'm getting tested, going deeper, so it's not so obvious anymore.
Isn't
And I'm
that
like,
exciting?
yeah, I know. Like, yay, we're in the next level of the game. It gets harder to quest. It's more tricky.
5D chess, yo.
And that's good for people to understand when they listen. Like, it never stops, really, right? It's an ever unfolding process. And I personally, that's my own take on things. I also don't believe that not people pleasing is a pattern. It's not a wound, but we also carry our own wounds. They never leave us. They will always be there as a signal to be like, hey, reminder. Because I think I was riding that train on some point ages ago, where I thought, oh, maybe I'll get rid of my wounds, and I wipe them out. But we're transmuting them and we rewrite things, and they're it's good that they are there because they remind us of who we are and what we came here for. I think it's very powerful. But with the people pleasing, no, I love what you said, and I definitely will re-listen to this podcast, and because there's always something more to learn.
Here's something that I want you to notice, though. So I want you to notice how people start to respond to you when you start to change your relationship with this energy. With manifesting as people coming to you because they want to be pleased, as opposed to people coming to you because they want to pay you, because they see you as this force of nature that's like almost, I'm getting this, I don't know why this is coming to me, but they're like wanting to please you. Like, they're coming to you because they want to please you. And maybe that's in the sense of allowing you to actually receive their money, receive their gratitude, receive no longer being taken advantage of for all your gifts, but actually being able to be pleased.
I actually love that because, it may sound very strong right now, this word, but it's actually beautiful to tap into this energy. Like, I want to be pleased.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be pleased. And it's actually very powerful. The same, like, when we have strong words with, I demand, like these very strong words because they have some sort of like attachment. And I like that. It's a beautiful practice. I will do that because I love, as you know, working, because when you are psychic and so open, working energetically is so powerful. Like, that shifts already. And I always underestimate that. I just need to actually, we all need to just go internally. But I think for me, it works really quick. I don't need much physical movement. It's very little. It's actually really internal. And over again, I get this shown over and over again, but I still fall into the trap. Do more on the outside. Do more here.
Oh,
do
the
more.
obedience trap of doing more on the outside?
Yes, again. Here we are, obedience trap.
Here's a practice everyone can do. Write down what you're obedient to.
Okay, guys, write down
from what you can know you're obedient to. And a way that you can do this too, even if you don't know hypnotic language, you can still record yourself talking about something. And when I say record, I mean try to let yourself just start talking. Like, if it's about money, if it's about receiving, if it's about love, and let yourself get into a flow, almost to the point where you're kind of not listening to yourself talking, and then listen to that back. So I guarantee you are going to hear patterns, you are going to hear beliefs that you did not know we're there, even if it's the most subtle thing. Because I heard in your voice note, you said very subtly, nothing's working. And then you kept talking. And I was like, and then you tried to bury it. Then you tried to convince yourself that everything was working. And I was like, she just said it's not working. I'm not going to take that as that's wrong. I'm going to take that as something is speaking through her. And what is it? What's not working? Oh, she's not receiving. That's why it's not working. It's not that what she's doing isn't working, but it's like these very subtle things that hide underneath that once you know what they are, you can catch them, which is still difficult for me. Even for someone who's been doing this for like 25 years, like people say things to me and I'm like, did I really say that? I'm like, oh shit, gotta work on that.
No, sorry, you go. I was just saying that is the beauty of this. There's always something new that will come up, like as we said with the game, in both ways.
And seeing like your chart as in you're kind of here to learn through these death and rebirth experiences. That's where a lot of your insights come from. Would you say that feels accurate for you?
100%. Yeah. That's why I learned to embrace these death and rebirth cycles. I'm like, all right, let's go, because I know that's where the power comes from. I used to not, when I didn't know that about myself, I would feel like awful and I would, resent it and deny it and push it away. But now I'm embracing it. Yeah.
Because I do also remember in your voice note, you saying that there was fear. Am I correct? Was it fear?
Yeah.
Or like you were worried, like you were like, I'm worried about what's going on. Fear. And I asked you, I was like, what are you afraid of? Because in my head, I was like, girl does this. Girl goes through these cycles. So there's something going on here that she's afraid of. What is it? And then that money piece came out. Well, if part of your death and rebirth cycle is you really slowing down and you really taking the time to be with yourself, and then you have this belief system that's, well, if I'm not moving, if I'm not doing, I'm not making money. And if I'm here to manifest money, then this is blocking my manifestations to get money. And then it just keeps manifesting. It's like, oh, the universe goes, okay.
I love your comedian insights when you just give these, keep going. I love it. It's perfect because that, guys. And Jenna, I just want people to know that this can be fun. You can put there's lightness into it, but it's still serious. It's dead serious.
I mean, I think part of the reason why my soul was like, you're going to be born into a cult. All these things are going to happen. You're going to have a Scorpio as your south node, which means you are very used to intensity, which means that's how you connected with people in the past, was through this very intense experience. In this life, that does not work for me. I'm Taurus north node. I'm Gemini on my descendant. It is like, you're here to be in lightness and like find your rooting and take Taurus one step at a time. And my Scorpio in me was like, quantum leap, go, get through it, da. And I was so obedient to the south node in me because it had worked in the past. So it was like all these ties were like ancestral ties, genetic ties, epigenetic ties were like, this is supposed to work. Why isn't this working? Even in relationships. And this is where like the people pleasing became like really gnarly because I thought that was genuine connection. My brain thought it was, my body knew, my instincts knew it wasn't. It always felt so gross to me. Like it felt good in the moment because, it was like this energy of like, oh yeah, we're going so deep and I'm giving you so much and we're like having like the deepest conversation of your life ever. And then there was no more connection after that. My body was like, what? This is not it, girl. Well, this is wrong. This is not how you connect with people I can go very deep with people, but there needs to be that foundation of lightheartedness first. And if I try to come at this work from this very heavy perspective, it doesn't serve me either, or the person I'm working with, which is where astrology opened up a lot. And also in numerology, in Chaldean numerology, there's 6 different pieces to it. And there's one called your vocation chart, which is your heart's desire. And you have a little heart's desire and a big heart's desire. And my little heart's desire is 16-7, which in tarot is the tower, if you're familiar with that one. So this number is called the enlightened number, but it's called that on its, I don't want to say darkness side, but like the yin and yang of it is one side is fall into deep depression, anxiety, control, have a complete fear of loss, want to be holding on to everything. The other side of it is you have no attachments. Everything ends, so it's not a big deal because something else is going to get rebuilt. You have the ability to go so deep, like the roots of the tree can go so deep that you can like make your way all the way to heaven. That's why it's called the enlightenment number. But there can be just so much heaviness with that. And I realized that like, this is also, my soul was literally like, how much can we like stack this up to where this girl gets it? It was like Scorpio South Node, 16-7 in your heart's desire. Oh, by the way, but you're not allowed to go into the darkness and the deepness. You got to see it from this lighter perspective or it's just going to eat you alive. For so long, I was like this. I always loved Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh because I very much related to Eeyore. Do you know that character?
Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody likes me. My tail's going to fall off anyway. I was like, so, and I was like, yeah, I relate. Like everything sucks. This sucks. Like, let's go into the darkness. Let's stay there. Yeah. But yes, I don't know where I can't remember what that thought train was.
We were just talking about, we were starting to get into the chart or
Yeah.
the parts that when I shared my experience from this morning. Yeah. And then.
Oh yeah. The fear. That's what we were talking about. Which would be interesting to look at your numerology chart and see what's there, especially in your emotional center. I'd be very curious to see what is in there. I would take a guess. What's in, actually, I don't know. Maybe like, I feel like you have Mars in your emotional center. I feel like there's a 9 in there because 9 is one of the most masculine numbers, but it is also extremely sensitive. A lot of, it's, people can think masculine. It has nothing to do with sensitivity, but this number is highly sensitive. It also likes to be very direct, but in its directness, it doesn't actually mean to hurt people's feelings, but it can. And when it does, it's very affected. And it's really good at like keeping a lid on its emotions. Like in very high stressful situations, you can be like, I got this. Even though on the inside, you're like, but nobody would have any idea whatsoever. Yeah. Do you have any other questions in particular about
my chart?
Yeah, your chart. Or
I was asking because I was like, how does it, from an astrological point of view now with the Jupiter moved signs and how it actually lights up the circuit of my Leo stellium, right? But how does it tie in with numerology? And was there anything, because you said it's an you mentioned to me I have an interesting numerology. Was there anything in particular that you think right now that would be like helpful, you may think I haven't noticed about myself, or a pattern that is more challenging, I guess? I'm always into like, how can I use that to work with myself and my energy? Like, and I think intuitively, really right now, for me, it's really important to really actually create that time to have a lot of time with myself and go inward and allow and create, because it's a whole shift going on. Like it has to feel so, how would I say, so unfamiliar. So like, oh my gosh, I'm losing control. Nothing is working. So the new can emerge. And I feel like it's almost like if I don't do it, I will be forced. And it's almost like, yeah, even staying away from like, oh, I need to adventure out here and there. But yeah, of course, there's always the pressure of, the finances and things. And also, since I'm nomadic, like there's always a bit of pressure and I need to move to the next thing.
I'm going to stop you.
Yes, stop me.
You just said there's always financial pressure. You know what that means? You have a belief that there's always financial pressure. Therefore, you're going to create what?
Financial pressure. Nice story, yeah.
This is what happens when you get in a room with people like us. You freaking quantum leap like that. This is what you do too. This is what you do for what you're feeling right now for me. Like, this is also me pleasing you, by the way. How does it feel? How does it feel to be pleased? Allow yourself to receive the pleasure.
It's amazing. I feel like Christian Grey from 50 Shades. I'm like, oh, I'll make you do that, baby.
Get that kink.
Yeah, no, powerful.
And also, listening, I feel like there's a belief in there too that you can work with this energy in the wrong way. And I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot work with this energy in the wrong way. Stop looking at it from a binary perspective. What if there was no wrong way to work with it? Because then you're not trying to figure anything out, right? There's no more masculine energy of I need to figure this out. It's suddenly like I just get to receive this energy and then I get to know what to do with it, which can be terrifying when we're obedient to wanting to know and control. You a little bit of control freak? You like to control things?
Yeah, and in little ways for sure. In my own way, 100%. Wanting to know.
I also like to tell people how you do one thing is how you do everything. So even if you're like, even in little ways I like to control, what's a big way you like to control? Because little things add up, right? Even if you're like, it's just the little things. It's like, well, if you took the ocean and you stored it into tiny little droplets, how many tiny little droplets would you have? A fuck ton of little droplets. Suddenly it becomes holy shit, I'm trying to control a lot right now. Trying to manage a lot. It's that managing, once again, managing the manifestations, coming at it from this very masculine perspective. You are a very intelligent person. And I know that intelligence is telling you, figure it out, figure it out, figure it out. But you already know how to figure it out. You just got to chill. Not all the time. Play a game of chess. If you really want to, I've heard the term run your husky before. You ever heard that? So I learned that from one of my mentors. And I just loved it so much. It was like, if you have this part of yourself that really likes to figure things out and really likes to control outcomes, allow it to come out in almost like a controlled environment. Like, I don't know if you like to play chess. I don't know if you like to play the game of Go or like another game that really challenges you mentally in a sense, like a puzzle. I don't know if you're into puzzles, but allowing that part to like come out and play in a different sort of sense, because it's still a gift. Your ability to do that is not something you need to get rid of. It's a gift. You're just using it in a way to keep yourself obedient to things that you don't want to be obedient to. How does that feel?
Good. I needed to hear that. Yeah. And I was thinking, what would my outlet be to do like the controller? Because I don't play chess. I don't even know how to play chess. I don't have puzzles right now because obviously I'm always changing places or anything. I was thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What would be a good outlet for me? And that doesn't involve other people, or where I'm bleeding again. So it's interesting. It's a bit of a nice little activation here, challenge for me to find something, create something. I don't know what that looks like. It will come. Yeah, it will find me.
Even I don't know, you like to read, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, read a good murder mystery book. Be like, who's the killer? Just an idea.
Yeah.
Reading. Or have someone hide something in your house and be like, where is it? And I don't know. You gotta find it.
I need to solve something. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Cat in the maze, looking for the cheese.
Because what I naturally do, and I just dropped to me the other day, I was putting the dots together for my best friend, for Sarah, her, for something that happened in her body like years ago and something that reoccurs. And I was trying to ask a question. So can you remember the last time you passed out? What was happening around that time? So I always try to solve, but again, it involves, helping someone else, pleasing in that way. And I want to actually stay away because it also takes energy. And I really just a task, like you said, like read like a mystery story or whatever and solve that. And I need to just have that so I can do it in my own time. And, without any other person. Yeah, it would be great. Yeah.
Really noticing those three, those core things. Does this feel like an obligation? Does telling this person what I know feel like an obligation? Does this feel like if I don't tell them something bad's going to happen, like fear? Or does this feel like I'm guilting myself? And it can be a mixture, but getting clear on what's underneath the obedience. Like, what is that? What am I being obedient to? Oh, I'm being obedient to obligation. I feel like I have to do this for them. Or there's a fear there. What if I don't do this for them? They're not going to like me. Or what was the third one? Oh, the guilt. I'm going to guilt the crap out of myself. I can already hear it. How dare you not help them? How dare you not use this for blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that can help you have, as you said, this awareness around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ooh, you know what? It's cool that you're here, but I'm not going to be obedient to you anymore because I'm in the school of disobedience.
I love that school. My favorite. Getting my new favorite. No, it's really powerful. And because I know there's so much more to say, but for people to even see we are in this room right now and, our consciousness, we are on a similar frequency, and how quickly you can actually reset me, how quickly you get me to this point. Even they're pointing out Mia, did you realize that you're always in financial pressure? Boom, story. Mia, you do that. Boom, that. And it's and that's how quick it goes. And also for you to understand that it doesn't take 50 million sessions. Yes, it is a process, but it can happen instantly like that. And then it's up to you to practice. And that's why it's good to have, of course, a mentor to keep calling you back into that frequency, just like you did, because it's easy to realize in the very moment, to be really inspired. But then, a couple of days later, a week later, depends. You go back to the old. It's very much the nature. And also I love the work you do with the instinctive manifestation, because it reminds me, instinct, intuition, these words are this real acting on that, because we all know. And I even realized that myself even more on a deeper level, hang on, there was this instinctive, intuitive hit. That's it. Everything after that is just story, conditioning. But the power here is that we can only see that with other people. You're a perfect mirror right now. Or when I leave a voice message for Sari, she will be like, no, Sissy, you said that in the first message. And then the second one is you just trying to talk, the conditioning is trying to talk you out of it. It's good. You can't see that for yourself because you have a blind spot. We will then talk ourselves more into that. And that's, of course, was really hard because when I was so much in solitude for 2 years, by myself and not knowing people, not speaking languages where I was, that was really easy for me to, okay, I'm going to go back there. And it's all part of the story. It's beautiful. And that's why it can be sometimes so super uncomfortable to be around people because I like to say, I call it triration. It's a trigger, but activation at the same time, because trigger has this negative connotation, I feel. Trigger is like, ooh, but trigger can be positive or negative. I know the words, it's always the semantics, but yeah, that's powerful for growth. So thank you. That was really, really powerful. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
It was that was my pleasure.
Yeah. And I know that we just tapped a little bit onto things, and I know that's never going to be a full session or looking at my chart because it will take a long, long time. And
well, it's actually pretty quick, but we could definitely, looking at it is pretty quick, but getting into the meat of it can take some time, which is why my single sessions are generally not single sessions, single sessions. It's usually like a week long where there's one. We have a video call together, but before the video call, there's like 3 days of telegramming, of like chatting and asking questions. And then there's 3 days after for integration and questions, because we're gonna, as you can see how quickly things can move. Normally people with me, when they do sessions with me, they end them early because they're like, I just got so much. I need to integrate this now. Like, whoa. It's just like, that's also part of the power of the 5 in numerology, getting things done very quickly. Finding things very quickly, getting to the core very quickly. So that's why I like having a little bit more. I don't like having just one call like this. Be like, hey, bye. I just told you just want to know so many things about yourself. Good luck. Like, it's, to me, I don't want to say that it's a waste, but it can turn into that. And I would never want someone to pay me and then not know how to hold it, not know how to hold what I just did for them, not know how to integrate it into their body, because then, like, why did you just pay me? You could have just Googled that shit or ChatGPT'd it. You know what I mean? Just in case people were curious about how I do one-on-one work. I also do have 3-month, 6-month, or year-long containers for people who really like to have that kind of support. But this is the kind of work that goes on, and it's very individualized because everyone's different. I am currently constructing some group containers that are going to be out very soon, and I'm very excited about them. So stay on the lookout for that. Also, if you want any Spiritually Rogue attire, I have very fun coffee mugs, sweatshirts, shirts. They're all very like 80s retro. SpirituallyRogueStudio.com is my shop. Rock the gear. Tell them you're rogue. Not obedient anymore. I'm disobedient.
Yeah.
You can DM me on Instagram if you're curious about sessions or my work. Or you can follow me on Instagram. Spiritually Rogue is my handle.
I love that. And I love how you said that with the sessions, because I'm a big believer of that too. And I'm also in the middle of restructuring. Like, there's no one like session, like, it's so powerful, and people need integration because I used to, even with like astrology readings, when when people go to astrologers or to someone, like you reading the chart, then it's almost like, you blurb it all out. And then it's, what do you do with that? It's like someone hands you the best gym membership, but you have no fucking idea how to use the equipment, right? That's how I see it. And that's why the integration part is so, so powerful. So amazing. Before,
one quick thing. I literally had astrology readings. I have Jupiter in my second house, and Jupiter in your second house is apparently the most profitable money placement you could possibly have ever. And I always have astrologers be like, you don't have to worry about money. You have the best placement. I'd be like, well, what do you mean? This is a problem for me. I have programming around this. What are you telling me that I was like, this is frustrating because this is not what I'm experiencing unless good money for me is surviving. So that's also why I like working with astrology the way and numerology the way that I do, because it's not just like as like a fortune reading of like, look, this placement's great. Look, this placement sucks. Good luck with that. Your love life is going down the toilet.
Yeah. And also, it's not a direct manifestation of things. it
No.
doesn't, you have, that is like a pattern. It's like you energetically well supported in that field, but you can still be broke for the rest of your life if you don't work with it, right?
The free
That's
will
what I
and the
mean.
fate thing, right?
Yes. And
not
outsourcing
practicing.
power as well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what people don't understand. And that's why I'm also like really not a big fan anymore of just doing readings, like even, soul record readings or psychic readings. But okay, what, and then what? Now,
Yeah.
you have been a princess in the past life in Egypt, and what? What do you do with that in this lifetime, It's cool. It's cool information. Like, right. Well, I've been a princess. I'm laughing. I'm sorry that I'm laughing about this right now, but there are people, and I had people like this, and then they rest on that, like, or, like, but you have to work with that and use it to your advantage, bring it into this lifetime. What is it showing you? These kind of things. So I think that's really, really important to find out. So I love your integration piece. Very, very important. Also inspired me to go deeper as well for my own containers. So really, like, because I'm in the middle of restructuring, because I'm restructuring myself. So I'm like, is that actually working? No, it's not working anymore. So it's powerful.
Trust those instincts, girl.
Yeah. Before we finish, because you already like mentioned where people can find you, which is amazing. I have a lightning round with 5 fun questions. I know you will love it.
Oh.
What do you do when nobody's watching?
I do when nobody's watching. Get resting bitch face.
Right. What is something completely embarrassing about you that people wouldn't expect?
Like embarrassing for me or embarrassing for other people?
You can choose.
Because like I have no problem busting out like an opera song or singing randomly in the streets. Like having people like, I remember I was on a paddleboarding with a friend once and I just started busting out like I was like swimming with a gondola, like just singing in Italy. Like as loud as I could. And I think she was mortified.
Okay. So expect the unexpected when you are out with Delia. And if you had a superpower, what would it be and why? I love that answer.
But, I'd want to be able to go into space. And I'd want to be able to travel at the speed of light or faster than the speed of light without it affecting time. Because when you travel at the speed of light, there is no time, it stops. So that means if I was traveling at the speed of light, I'd come back to Earth and like everybody I knew would be dead. And who knows if Earth would even be around anymore. I know that's a lot. I know that's a big ask because I just like named like 5 different things conditions I would want with that superpower. I don't know if that's allowed.
Anything is allowed.
But that's what I would want. And why? Because sometimes you just want to freaking get away, I mean, like really away. You want to go like, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Project Hail Mary.
No, I don't think so. No.
It's a fantastic movie. Highly recommend to anyone. That movie's great. Sometimes you just want to go hang out with rock people on another planet.
Okay. Love that. And if your life had a theme song, what would it be?
I feel like that circus song.
Yeah, I like that. I can see that totally. And what is one of your weirdest or funniest spiritual experiences?
Spiritual experiences? Weirdest spirit. Okay, do you want creepy or do you want not creepy?
Anything. Maybe funny.
You're like, no, I don't want creepy. I want funny, but I don't want to tell you that I want funny.
No, creepy is kind of cool too.
Let's see here. Okay, I'll tell you a funny one. Back in the day, kids, when there was no streaming and there was only television, and you had to wait for certain shows or movies to come on. I don't know if this TV network's still around, but it was like TNT. And it was like this, TNT was like the manly network that showed like action films and horror movies. And they were showing a movie that we all wanted to watch, me and some of my friends. And there was a guy hosting. There was always like a host who would like in the middle of the movie, like throughout before the commercials, he would talk some stuff. And I remember he was in the middle of one of his spiels and we were all getting really annoyed with how much this guy was talking. We just wanted to watch the movie. And I was literally like, this dude needs to shut the fuck up. And immediately after that, he said, don't say that. People start, I mean, like, call it synchronicity. Maybe he actually did hear me. I'm not really sure. But it was just so perfect. Like, when I said it and how he responded and, like, his facial expression, like, looking dead at us. Like, we were all just hysterically laughing.
Super funny.
I don't know if it's a spiritual experience, but I feel like it is.
Whatever came through. Yeah, it was for sure. And the last one is because, my talk, my podcast is called Din's Talk, like my last name. It stands for Do It Never Stop. So what is one habit or one thing, ritual, I believe, you would refuse to give up and you do it to never stop?
Taking walks in the forest.
Beautiful. I love that. Very powerful. Yeah. So thank you so much. I mean, that was a full on, woo. We had like a big session here, guys. And thank you so much for being with us. I hope you took away so much. For me, it was like fulfilling.
You're about to have like a 20K day, girl. Like it's happening. Like seriously. Yeah. I mean, like you're about to just wait. You're gonna be like, holy, I'm gonna get a text message for you that's like, holy shit, Delia. Guess
okay, we have this on recording right now, 24th of July, 11:48. Woo! Can't wait. It's amazing. No, but seriously, and yeah, I know it's seriously, but that was powerful just to do it in person and also to demonstrate for people how much it can actually like shift and change. And also thank you for sharing parts of your story. I know there's so much more. And guys, like, please follow Delia, like really go in there if you want to know more. Hit her up, DM her, and look at her amazing work that she does. She does so many cool things. And I will put everything in the show notes below. And again, thank you for dropping in. If you have any questions, drop your comments below. Message her directly. Maybe something resonated with you. Maybe something didn't. That's cool too. That's what we're here for. Polarity, guys. You know, I love polarity. And just send a message and I will be in the DMs. And again, thank you so much. And guys, until next time, love you.
Thank you for tuning in to Din's Talk. I hope today's conversation sparked something within you. Remember, you have the power to align with your soul, take bold action, and live a life fueled by passion. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and leave a comment if this episode resonated with you. And as always, do it, never stop. Until next time, keep claiming your fire and your power.